David.
Laura.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Is medicine a profession or is it a business?
I think of it as like I'm not a medical person, right? But the more I've been around medical professionals, I feel like it's a passion because people stay in the medical field for so long and it's very difficult and time-consuming work. But at the end of the day, they love what they do.
I'm so happy to hear you say that's your perception. That's very good. I worked inside a hospital for a whole lot of years, kind of in a patient-facing role. And I think that a lot of doctors and nurses and therapists and, kind of the hands-on healthcare workers definitely choose their professions at their core, probably to help humanity. And they're choosing careers, there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of accountability. You have a lifetime need to keep learning and be devoted to learning and training and
it's
practicing with character.
It's evolving, they're learning new stuff every year.
Right. All the time. But healthcare it's gotten even in the time that I've been in healthcare, it's gotten so complex and it is a business, right? Yeah. And so I feel like anyone in healthcare has to see it as both, whether you're the hands-on people or the managers or administrators, and you have to understand that it's both and somehow work harmoniously together to achieve whatever the organizational goals and outcomes are. And then, but also give really compassionate quality care, right? I don't know. It's
at the end of the day, you got to make it sustainable.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Well, in 2023, we got super lucky and welcomed a new president, Dr. Hossain Marandi.
He's so awesome.
He is awesome. And he joined us as the new hospital president of Cardinal Glennon, but he is also the leader of the strategic direction for all pediatric services within SSM.
Which makes sense because Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital is the only standalone pediatric hospital within the entire SSM Health system. So it makes sense that if he's the president of the only children's hospital, that he gets a say in what all pediatric services look like.
That's right. That's right. And he's super qualified for the job. He's got lots of letters behind his name, but his first credentials are MD, medical doctor. And that is a first for Cardinal Glennon, which is awesome.
It's great. Yeah, because to your point earlier, it speaks to that balance of healthcare and the business side of it. And it's interesting that we are getting into this new exciting chapter, building a new hospital, a new Cardinal Glennon, and being led by a physician when the original Cardinal Glennon, the vision was also led by a physician, then Dr. Peter Danis. So it's just kind of cool how that arc has come back around.
Yeah, it is. It is. I feel pretty lucky to have somebody leading us that has both his clinical background, but also his leadership background. I am sure that building a new hospital is exciting and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, but in a lot of ways, it's got to be like Mission Impossible, right? I mean, there's a lot of opinions and a lot of strategic things at play with all the clinical stuff. And I just can't imagine what it's like, but him and his family made a huge leap of faith to take it on. They moved here, moved their life for this mission, and they chose to accept it. So we are having him as our special guest here on the podcast today to ask him a ton of questions that are on our mind and allow our listeners a chance to get to know him a little better.
I'm so excited we get to see the personal side of Dr. Marandi and the professional side of Dr. Marandi today.
Let's do it. Well, Dr. Marandi, welcome.
Thank you.
We are so excited to have you.
Thank you.
I mean, it's season 1, so.
I know, we really swung for the fences, and we really appreciate you taking the time today to be on our fun project here that we're just so jazzed about at the foundation.
We are too, and I'm delighted to be here, and I get to be the closer. I like that.
I know.
Big baseball, yes.
I know,
yes.
right?
Now, are we going to have the sound, the music coming out. You know how the closers come out and they played Enter Sandman by Metallica. So is that what I'm going to get?
What would be your song? Well, okay, I guess it's more like a walk-up song.
Is that
What
your
would be your
at
walk-up
bats, I
song?
think is what
I
they
don't
call it.
know. That's a good question. I'll have to think about that. What
you
that would
think
be.
on that.
Yes, I like that.
Get back to us on that.
We'll do.
So what would you normally be doing at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday?
Meeting.
Which meeting? What are we keeping you from?
No. I think, when you think about my day, it revolves around a lot of meetings. And even my kids joke about that. Daddy, what do you do at work? I do a lot of meetings. What meetings? Well, meetings. Why do they have to meet with you? There's usually a decision that needs to be made and they need some direction on it. So usually now it's just much easier with the ability to use Teams.
Yeah.
It has really brought us closer. I know a lot of people dislike the use of Teams and the lack of personal touch of it, but I think it's given us so much opportunity to be able to do a lot of more work that's beyond just the four walls that you're at. You don't have to travel. You don't have to go find a place to park. You don't have to take the time. You can just jump on Teams. And I'm at a point where every 30 minutes, I jump from one to the other. And you talk about your brain having to wear hats, different hats.
Back
switch.
to back to back. That's rough.
Correct.
You need a bring your child to work day. Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, we want to do something different. So we got to the privilege of understanding a little bit about you and our Chief Medical Officer, Director of Pediatrics, Dr. White, last year, and we know that one of your favorite things in life is tater tots.
Yes.
So we thought it'd be a fun little icebreaker here to do a blind tater tot taste challenge. We've got 4 options of tater tots in front of you. We have them numbered. We know where they're from, and we want you to go 1 through 4 from your right to the left, just to kind of see if you can guess. 3 of them are actually from fast food restaurants here in St. Louis, and one of them is actually from the Cardinal Glennon cafeteria, because we know that you're partial to those tater tots as well.
It's amazing. Every morning I go to the physician's lounge, and the only thing that's missing are the potatoes. They go for first. 7 o'clock. If you're not there, they're gone.
Really?
Yes. And we're constantly asking for more of them. It's not the bacon. It's not the eggs. It's the
Our
potatoes.
physicians like starch.
We like starch.
Okay.
We like, yes.
Good to know.
It's the breakfast
Definitely.
of champions.
Yes. Yes.
So if you wouldn't mind, if you want to start with number 1, which is closest to Laura, and see what you think of
Here,
them.
I have a little
We've got
napkin
napkins,
for
yes.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
you're welcome.
Here, I'll bring it.
Yeah.
I'll bring the table a little bit closer here. Okay. Let me see.
Nice and crunchy.
Nice and crunchy.
Nice and crunchy. That one's good.
We brought in an air fryer to make sure that we would crispen
like
up,
it.
and we may or may not have set off the smoke alarm earlier.
You can have more than one.
Yeah, and
if you'd
feel,
like.
if you want to,
Taste all of them first, and then I'll let you know.
for the people who can't see, if you want to crunch it into the microphone, just so we get that. There we go. That's number 2.
Okay.
Okay.
A little bit more oily.
Okay.
It's like I'm a connoisseur for
Yeah,
tater tots.
absolutely.
Ooh, that
Way too
seems to
crunchy.
have more crunch.
That's a good crunch
Yeah.
on that one. Number 3.
Yeah.
There's definitely more crunch to that.
That one's definitely crunchy.
I love my air fryer.
It's a lot more airy. The biggest one.
Yeah, those are the jumbo sized.
Still crunchy.
Oily too.
Ooh, best of both worlds.
Oh no. Okay.
I would say 1 and 4.
1 and 4.
1 and 4.
What
Are the best
about
ones?
they're the best?
They're the best ones.
Okay. So do you think that you have enough data, or if you need to do another sample set, to pick out which ones are the Cardinal Glennon tater tots?
This is high level research that
This is
you are participating
it's a
in
blind
this morning.
study. So this is official science here.
I think 4 is ours.
You think 4 is from Cardinal Glennon at the cafe? Mm-hmm. What if I told you were correct?
I would say either one.
Those are number 4. We actually, it's not a Thursday. Becca, our co-producer, she got to find out this morning that they don't do the medallion coins. So we medallionized them for you today. But
See, even with the shape being different, I
knows.
can pick out the taste.
You know it.
Yep.
You know it.
So one of the things, it's funny, we were trying to figure out a way to be able to have more opportunities for the team members to meet with me. So we were trying to come up with a catchy name, So I think we're going to go with hash it out with Hossain.
Oh.
And have hash
my
and
gosh.
have hash browns there, and they can have hash browns when they come in. Because I want to.
adore that. You are going to have standing room only.
That's going to be,
Like-
we're going to need more potatoes than at
Be
the
a
hospital.
wait list.
Yes.
The poor physicians, they ain't going to have
That was
none
good.
because it's all going to be gone.
Yes, thank you. That was very good.
Oh, good. I'll go ahead and
Very
move the
good.
table
Yeah.
out.
Hash it out. That's
Hash
so
it out with
good.
Hossain, yes.
That's so good.
We'll give out hash browns, and it'll be fun.
And just
Oh,
to complete the data set. So number 1 is from Chick-fil-A.
You can see that. Yep.
Number 2 is from Hardee's, and number 3 is from White Castle.
Okay.
So those are our 4 options for this morning.
All right. So I would have to go with 4, 1, 2, and then 3.
There you go.
Yeah. Glennon
Now,
comes
I
in
will
first.
say that the longest line was number 3 for the White Castle.
You know what? And every time I hear White Castle, it just takes me back to Beastie Boys, because that's all they talked about was. So that dates you how old I am.
I love me some Beastie Boys.
They know where the sliders are at.
Yeah.
Well, we are excited. The secret's been out for a few months now that, guess what? We're building a new hospital, right? And
Yes.
we only know so much because it's still in the planning stages, right? But I would like to know, what question do you get asked the most about the build? Or the new hospital, not about the build, but about the hospital. What question do you get asked the most?
So there are a couple of questions that people ask. I think number 1, this is probably the worst kept secret in St. Louis. As it came out, a lot of people kind of already knew something was going on. I think there's a couple of things that people want to know. How is this going to change pediatric healthcare going forward? And another one is, what are you going to do with Old Glennon?
That's been a big question, I'm sure.
Yes, yes. So when I think about the first one, when you think about what we've been able to achieve here for the past 7 decades, providing services to the community, being able to open our doors to any patient that needs care, to open our arms to provide the best quality care for them, we wanted to think about how do we continue to do that same work, to continue our legacy, to continue our mission for another 7 decades. And as you very well know, everything changes so quickly nowadays. So you think about just the cell phone that you have in your hand. In 10 years, what it looked like, the bricks back in the 80s to the flip phones, and
Car
then now
phones, bag phones.
Bag phones. I still remember a physician saying, well, the other thing, he used to carry, one of the neurosurgeons back just not too long ago, he would carry a bag of quarters with him because he would have to stop on the side of the street when somebody paged him, and he would have to use a payphone. And that wasn't very long ago.
No.
Yeah, we still have areas in the hospital that used to be for payphones. Like, I love seeing what they've done with the little alcoves. When it's like, oh, that used to be a payphone booth. You know?
Right. So when you think about that and think about how can we be prescient about the future, about what pediatric healthcare is going to be for the next 7 years, we wanted to be able to have the facilities to be able to provide the highest quality care to our patients. And as great as our Glennon is now and has provided that service for many, many years, there's just a lot of opportunities in the future to be able to do it in a better way, in a smarter way, in a more efficient way, in a way that improves quality. So that is the exciting part of the new hospital. How are we going to be able to get technology in there? Now everything is Wi-Fi. And Old Glennon has got a lot of metal in it.
Sure does.
Which makes it difficult. So the new hospital will not have that. It'll be built with concrete to allow for RF to go through and be able to get better. When we think about just all the technology that we need, having the new space to be able to bring the best is exciting. So that's the first part of it. The second part about the Old Glennon, a little more murky. Just because we want to be able to be good stewards of our resources. We want to be able to provide care in any way that we can and be able to use and reuse some of the current structures that we have. So we're still thinking through that one. And that's the exciting part. What could it be? Because now we have this vast space that we could do other things with to, again, look for what the community needs. So more to come.
Other than the large scope that you just mentioned, which is exciting, is there any individual feature of the new hospital that's really exciting?
It's got to be the rooftop pool. right?
Right.
Oh,
We're doing
yeah.
Or the gym.
Don't you just let out the secret?
Oh,
yes,
I did.
yes.
How's
yes,
a rooftop pool going to work with the
Yeah.
helipad, though? Because, I mean, isn't that going to blow all of the
That's
water
right.
when we're landing?
That's right. That's right. Now, when we think about caring for patients, we also got to think about caring for our team members. So we were very deliberate about looking at a holistic view of the building for it to be good for the community, good for the resources that we have, good for the people that take care of them, and overall just good for nature in general. So all the thought process went into making sure that the building is just what it needs to be to serve all of those. There are a couple of exciting things about the building. Most buildings, when you walk in, first floor is the main floor. Not in this building.
Really?
The front door is on the first floor, but all the action starts on the third floor. That's the public floor.
Really?
Yes. We wanted to look at a way to be able to provide better environment for everyone. And it's great to be able to look downtown and see that arch. And if you're on the main floor of a hospital, you're not seeing much of the arch.
Huh.
So the way this building is going to be, it will start literally on the third floor. So when you come in and you go up the elevator and you walk into the open area of the third floor where all the public amenities are. That's where the cafeteria will be. That's where the chapel will be. That's where the gift shop, coffee shop, as well as a rooftop terrace.
Oh, not quite a pool, but still
not a
very
pool,
nice.
but close enough. Close enough.
So
We couldn't
wait,
get
you
that.
come in on the first floor, and the third floor is where all the action starts.
Correct.
What's on the second floor? Or
That's
you
where,
can't tell us.
No.
TBD.
That's actually where surgery is.
Oh, okay.
So that vast floor. So you think about the building right now is designed to be almost like a multi-tiered wedding cake. Oh. Well, the base is the largest, and that houses the majority of the spaces. And as you go up, it gets smaller. And that provides us the right size to be able to provide the care in each one of those. Again, right care, right time, right space, all of those things. That's how we wanted to do it. So first floor, where it houses a lot of what historically has been in the basement of a building. So this building will not have a basement. We're not digging down.
Oh.
So all the what we used to call the bowels of the hospital will not be underground. They'll be on the first floor. That's the big, large floor that will house all of those ancillary services that we need to be able to take care of the rest of it. Next floor will be our surgical floor, and then the fun starts after that.
I'm loving this wedding cake now.
I know it's a fascinating.
to see all the fillings.
And it does make sense. I mean, because you want the strongest support to be at the bottom.
Correct.
You don't want, I mean, obviously, it kind of makes sense too to the current Glennon because surgery is also on the second floor. So there's probably a lot of facility design that goes into that as well because that equipment is very large, very heavy. You don't want to put it at the top floor. All of that goes into it. You touched upon it a little bit, talking about the old building with radio frequencies and Wi-Fi. And we all know that healthcare is like ever evolving and changing. I want you to kind of dive in, if you can, a little bit more about how are we hoping to position Cardinal Glennon to prepare for the future vision that you have. I know you said, you talked about being prescient and everything, but we've heard you talk a couple of times in the past about where we see the future of the healthcare landscape. Can you tell us about what's going into the plans for the new Cardinal Glennon as we are approaching or moving toward that future of the healthcare landscape? So
when it comes to pediatric care, we have a simple goal. We want to be the choice when a mom, a grandmother, a referring physician wants to get care for a child or for their patient, they choose Glennon. And as we sifted through all the noise to be able to get to what would allow someone to make that decision, we really came up with three simple things. And I love doing things in threes. Again, don't blame me for the Trinity. I don't know what it is, but I've always do things in threes.
Hey, Schoolhouse Rock said it. Three is a magic number.
Three is a magic number. I wore three in college. I've always worn three. So three is a special to me. So when we looked at how can we achieve our goals, number one, we want to improve access to care. Because if you don't have access to care, then you're not getting anything. Number two, we wanted to improve the experience of that care. Because again, Okay, yes, I got it, but was it the way that I wanted it? And did it really achieve what I wanted? Third one is really improving the quality of care. So I think if we look at that, if a patient is looking for care, if you can meet those, the accessibility, the experience, and the quality of it, what else is there? So that's the goal for every decision that we make. As we go forward, every decision being about the new hospital, decisions about service lines, decisions about anything that we make, we want to make sure that it meets those three goals. So if we can check off those boxes, will this decision improve access, improve experience, and improve the quality, then let's do it. But if it doesn't, let's step back and understand why. So as we think about that concept of going forward, what we want to do, be able to lean heavily on the quality right off the bat. We know that quality is expected. I remember one of my mentors, and a lot of times healthcare gets compared to the airline industry, just because the airline industry is such a high reliability organization where they have to do everything right, because if they don't, bad things happen. So what he said to me is, when you try to buy a plane ticket, you expect to get from point A to point B.
Right.
You're not expecting that plane to crash or something bad to happen. So the quality of getting to there is expected.
Yeah.
You're not gaining any points on that.
Right.
That has to be good. What you gain points on is, can I get the flight that I want at the time that I want, at the price that I want, get a couple of bags of peanuts like I want? Do I pay for my bags and all those things? It's all those. So you think about the accessibility, the experience, because quality is expected. So what we want to do is to be able to benchmark ourselves against the best children's hospital in the United States and raise our bar to that quality level. And when you look at, for pediatrics, U.S. News & World Report has historically ranked children's hospitals based on their 10 different subspecialties. And they release that information every year and say, here's the top 50 children's hospitals for cardiac care, for oncology, and we want to be there. This past year, we were able to rank on 5 out of those 10, and our goal is to be almost on all 10 of them by 2030. So raising that bar for quality, that's one area. While we work on the access, new hospital, new physicians, new clinics, and then the experience is, again, wrapping our arm around our faith-based care, as well as understanding what the people need, not only the people that are getting the care, but also the people that provide the care, like our nurses, like our physicians, like our respiratory therapists, like our EVS staff, everybody that lends their expertise every day to care for kids.
That's a great way to really think about it, because to your point, it's not just the patients and their families, but there's a lot of people, that are in there every single day. You talked about a lot of the specific things of how the new Cardinal Glennon can help specifically, access, experience, and quality. How do you foresee the new facility impacting, making the biggest impact even in like the region or beyond? You touched upon the U.S. News rankings, but just kind of talk to us about some of this exciting new idea and how it can impact the region.
Sure. So the St. Louis community is truly blessed to have access to pediatric care at the high national ranking levels. When you think about true comprehensive children's hospitals, there are about 200 of them in the United States, and only 90 to 95 of them are ranked nationally as being one of the best. So we're far and few in between.
That's a pretty short list comparatively.
Pretty short list.
That's awesome.
And when you think about the adult side, there's plenty of that. But from a children's hospital standpoint, so that makes us special. And then to be able to take that to the next level and build a brand new hospital to keep pushing that forward for this community to have access to that. And I think I do want to reiterate the location of this hospital.
Right.
We are continuing to be here on Grand, where we know we can serve the communities that need us the most, and we serve a large footprint of patients. But we are location was situated in the perfect place to be able to provide that care to the people that need that care more than anyone and might have a difficult time accessing that care. So it was a deliberate decision to continue to stay on this campus, continue to push forward an academic campus in our support with our academic partner, St. Louis University, but also be very mindful of the people that we serve on a day-to-day basis. And we have served for 7 years. So we wanted to stay here. We wanted to be able to bring him even better services going forward.
I love that you sound and are so proud of that and our location and just where we're going. And we could probably talk about the future of Glennon for the next 4 hours, yes. Right? Yes. But I kind of want to jump back in time and give people some context to who you are and your journey from your beginnings to how you got here to Glennon. So maybe let's start with you telling us where you grew up.
Okay. So, when you think about where you are today, you kind of go back and realize that it's never been a straight line. There's always turns to it. And when I think about my life, I was originally born and raised in the Middle East. I was born in Iran. And for some of the people that will remember, there was a thing that happened back in 1979, the revolution that kind of changed everything. So when I was born in Iran, I was born to a lower middle class family, poorer family. And for whatever reason, I was sick a lot. So I spent a lot of time in doctor's offices, in children's hospitals. And my first mentor was my pediatrician, who just happened to be my uncle and my next door neighbor. So
close-knit community.
Close-knit community.
Right?
So that was the person that I looked up to. And I knew from a young age that was my calling in life. I needed to find a way to care for kids. And I wanted to be a doctor and be a pediatrician and care for kids. Now, that probably would have been a very difficult achievement in the situation that I was in. And God always has a way to direct things the way that they're meant to be. And I say that in a way because I do truly believe that it has been my calling, and I've been directed to every step of the way to be able to get there. After the revolution, my family was ostracized because of our beliefs, because of many reasons. So my family ended up escaping from Iran on foot and through the desert into Afghanistan, into Pakistan. And that's a whole long story that I need to tell on another time. But we were able to find our way to Spain at that time. During that time, there was the only country in the world other than South Africa that you didn't need a visa to go to. So with nothing at that time, we ended up as refugees in Spain. So we lived in Madrid, Spain, in a refugee camp that just happened to be right next door to a large Catholic church. And as we had the opportunity to go over there, to be able to stop by for help and support, food, clothes, and everything, the head sister, Sister Mary, in that church fell in love with my younger sister, Mary. And we would go over there, and the two of them would play together, and Mary would take her dolls over there, and they would sit there and play. And when Sister Mary heard about our plight of where we were and what we wanted to do, the Catholic Church sponsored my family to come to the United States as refugees.
Oh, my goodness.
So that one moment in time changed the trajectory of my life, my family's life. And as I mentioned, God has a way to steer things that way. We were able to come to the United States as refugees. So I came here, was placed in East Tennessee. And I remember going to school first day, didn't speak a word of English, but I knew I was where I needed to be. So that one moment in time has directed me to continue to give back. I had the opportunity to go to college, go to medical school, reach what I felt was my calling to become a pediatrician. And I have spent now 18 of my 22 years of servitude only in Catholic healthcare organizations. So I wanted to always give back for that one moment in time, and I will continue to do that. So when I got the call about this opportunity, it was made in heaven. I mean, for when the decision you make about your career be it both personal and professional. This met everything that I needed from the personal side, to be able to come back to Catholic healthcare, to be able to serve the communities, a new community, while at the same time building a new children's hospital and be able to push us into new heights was just exciting. So that's kind of a roundabout way for how I got here.
Like, I can't even imagine what faith it took. Your family leaving your home country for complete unknown and not knowing what was going to come next. Like, and you're young and you're following your family. Like, how did that impact you? Besides Sister Mary, like how did that journey impact you professionally? Like, what individual qualities do you think that experience gave you that feed you now? Does that make sense as a leader and as a doctor? And
it does. I guess I would go back to the decision when my family made to say, we're just going to get up and leave. We're going to give everything that we have, every family member that we know, every friend, in the hopes to be able to provide our kids with a better life. And when you think about what they had to give up, everything else kind of is pale compared to that for my life.
Sure.
So when I think back through that, the work ethic and understanding what got me to where I am, it was difficult to learn English because I started at 7th grade. All I knew were yes, no, hello, and goodbye.
That's all you get out of most American English speakers anyway these days.
So that was it.
I'm not going to let my son complain about his Spanish homework anymore.
Right. But all joking aside, when I think about, I truly believe that I'm the poster child for the American dream. That's what every refugee hopes to achieve for their kids, for their lives, to be able to come to the United States and make something out of themselves. So, and again, it wasn't just me. As I think back, so many people helped me become who I am. I remember my 8th grade social sciences teacher, Mrs. Henderson, and I still keep up with her. She pulled me aside and said, I'm going to teach you English. And I would stay after school every day, and she would stay there and take the time to teach me. She said, you need to learn how to write cursive. So she taught me cursive. My many people across the years that helped me to get to here. It's great that I had the work ethic, but if it wasn't for everybody else taking interest and wanting to help, I would have never gotten here. My mentors, all the people that said, let me pull you aside and help you out. And that's, it takes a lot. You have to really be very unselfish to be able to take someone that you don't know and help them get to where they are. So I'm very grateful for that.
Which pull is stronger for you? Is it risk taker, people mentoring you, or devotion to Catholic Church and faith driving you? You know what I mean? From that history, which one do you think pulls at you more?
I would say it has to be a combination of both, because I think neither one I would not be here if it was for one or the other. You can have all the devotion in the world, but if you don't have the opportunities and the drive and the people, it won't get you there. And if you have all of those, but you don't have the devotion for something bigger than you, then you're just another person. So I think a combination of those really allowed me to be who I am today. And I'm very grateful for that, because that the devotion gives you direction. It's that light at the end of the tunnel that you know it's there and you can just walk toward it all the time. It directs you. It doesn't end. But then you've got to be able to have the drive to keep walking toward it, because you can give up and you can stop and just say, I'm good where I'm at. And I've never gotten to that point. I don't think there's a single day that goes by that I say, I've arrived now. I'm good where I'm at. It never happens. Never have.
So you have had multiple steps and stops in your career path prior to here. What was it? How'd you find out about Glennon? How'd you find out about us? Were you recruited? Were you looking? What's the story there? Like, what was the professional appeal and what was the personal appeal that made you say, yes, that's my next step?
It was the amazing St. Louis weather, right? We just love our Missouri St. Louis weather.
Absolutely. So it goes back to when I finished medical school, residency, and I began to do my clinical work. I realized early on that I had a skill set that was a little bit different from my colleagues. I actually enjoyed the administrative side of things. I enjoyed the financial pieces of it, and I kept asking why. And it was difficult to get those answers. So I wanted to be able to understand more. Went back, got my business degree, and pretty much begged anyone and everyone to give me an opportunity to be able to work within a hospital system. So while I worked full-time during the day, I would go and at nighttime do whatever they needed to do at the hospital. So I got an opportunity to run dietary, environmental services, blood bank, CDI, whatever they needed. I did that on the side while I did, just to be able to learn. I knew I didn't become a physician overnight. I knew I wasn't going to become an administrator overnight.
Maybe that's where your love of hash browns
that
came from when you were,
yes.
you know.
So that kind of goes back, again, when I got here, I've always, even my wife jokes that she said, I don't understand why you love cafeteria food so much. It's because that's what I've always had. That's kind of when I was in college, being a poor college student, the best way to be able to get a good meal was to
figure out what's good in the cafeteria.
I would go to the local hospital and I would volunteer there. I would go into the ORs. I would hold retractors in the ORs for a couple of hours. They would give me a voucher for a free meal, and I would go eat at the hospital cafeteria. So I've always enjoyed hospital cafeteria. And I even told my wife, I said, why don't you come to the hospital? We'll go eat at the cafeteria. She's like, no. But for me, that's the norm. I mean, I enjoy being in the hospital. And I know she hates when I say it, but I enjoy being in the hospital more than anything.
So
it's just,
have you had like a bunch of ups and downs with the hospital food? Like, are there like some hospital cafeterias where you're like, oh, I don't know if I'd go back to that one. And then some are like, oh, I miss that hospital cafeteria.
Yes. As you saw earlier, I am a connoisseur when it comes to cafeteria food. And we have really good food at Glennon. I tell the ladies all the time, they really do a good job of feeding us there. But when I think about what got me to here, I knew that I wanted to be an advocate for children's healthcare, more than just a one-on-one in the office, more than just a clinical setting. And I knew in these positions like I sit at today, decisions that are made are so far-reaching that I can help more kids and I can have more communities and have a more positive impact on a larger scale. So I knew that's what I wanted to do, to continue that calling while still serving kids in a different way. So I had the opportunity to become the president and CEO of a children's hospital in Indianapolis, part of a Catholic healthcare organization. Originally, I was with St. Joseph's in Tampa. So I spent 13 years with St. Joe's there, ended up at St. Vincent in Indianapolis and serving Peyton Manning Children's Hospital there. Got the opportunity to go to a larger hospital in Grand Rapids at Helen DeVos and served there. And in Michigan, there are 3 large children's hospitals. And this is bringing it back to how I got here. And many of you might remember Kathy Donovan.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was at Helen DeVos, and Kathy, at this about a month and a half before I took the role at Helen DeVos, she accepted the role in Detroit at Children's Hospital in Michigan.
Oh,
yes.
Wow. So she used to be in the administrative office at Cardinal Glennon for several years.
So she was the chief operating officer here at Glennon. And we built a really good relationship. Even though we were competitors within the state, we understood that it worked if we were closer and working together better. So we looked at every opportunity to work together. And I believe when this position came open, Kathy was the one that put in a good word. And they said, have you talked to this guy in Grand Rapids? So I get a text from Kathy, middle of the day on a Thursday, saying, you're going to get a call from this guy named Jeremy here in about an hour, and he's going to talk to you about this role. See what you think.
Wow.
So Jeremy called me on that Thursday. We talked for about an hour, a little over an hour about the role, and said, hey, we might need to get to meet each other. So why don't we meet? So we both flew to Chicago to the airport next Wednesday, sat in the airport for 2 hours and talked to each other about the role, get to know each other. He said, I need you to come back on Friday for an interview. So I came back for an interview on Friday, interviewed with multiple folks, went back home, got another call on Tuesday, said, I need you to come back on Friday and interview with more folks. So I did, and got to meet a lot of folks here. And then next thing you know, I was offered the role. And I gladly accepted. I accepted because, as I mentioned, going back to the whole concept of when you make a decision like that, it's both personal and professional. And from a personal standpoint, it just was right to be able to come back to Catholic healthcare, to be able to come back and serve a new community, and the need obviously is there. So personally, it was a no-brainer. It was just, and as I talked to my wife, Andrea, there was no thought about that at all. It just felt right. And from a professional standpoint, to have the opportunity to lead another children's hospital, to be able to be at the precipice of something great as we start to think about the future, as we start to think about building a new hospital, as we start to think about our relationship with SLU Care and St. Louis University, as we start to put all of those pieces together of what this can be and the greatness that this organization can provide, that also made sense. So when you put all of those two together, it was really, really easy decision to be here. And I remember this is, you think back to your life. I'm a big baseball fan, which kind of fits into the whole St. Louis. And when I was, as I mentioned, learning English, I couldn't pronounce Saint correctly. So I always would say St. Louis, like, and I remember a friend of mine making fun of me way back then. And I go back and say, it was probably a sign.
It was written in the stars.
It was written in the stars, and it was going to happen. So yes,
St. Louis has its own dialect, so it's not too far off from how people say St. Louis anyway. So
here I am today, and I think it's great to be here. We've been here a little over 8 months, and very quickly have been able to settle down and assimilate. My boys, both of them, I played soccer all my life, so they play soccer, so they're in heaven. They love, they have their teams, they get to play. So it's been a really good transition.
No, that's great to hear. Well, it's awesome to hear that, how excited you were and how great it's been transitioning into St. Louis. And like as you said, you've been at Cardinal Glennon for a little under a year now. What are some of the shining highlights or best things that you have noticed in your time here about Cardinal Glennon?
So, I've had the opportunity to be in lots of hospitals, pediatric hospitals, adult hospitals. And before taking this role, I had heard about the Glennon factor.
The podcast?
Well, yes, definitely the podcast. Yes. We're new. Yes. But, I think you said it best. It's a verb, it's an adjective, it's a noun. We can't explain it. And it's hard to explain.
You listen to that.
Yes.
We got a listener.
Yes.
He's our one listener.
No,
thank you, Dr. Marandi.
Of course. But, I'd heard about that. And a lot of people talked about that. And you don't understand it unless you're in the enthralls of it, until you come into this hospital. And there is a different feeling that you get when you walk through those doors, when you see the marble where it talks about Cardinal Glennon, when you see the statue and you understand the history of what brought us here. And I'm getting chills now just talking about it, because it really does give you that foundation to ground you of why you're here. And you can see that in everybody that works here. And there are many people here that have spent their lives their careers here, 40 plus years. There's not a day goes by that I don't meet someone that has spent 20, 25, 30, 35 years here. And when you talk to them, it's because of that factor, that unrecognizable thing that you can't put your fingers on it, but you know it's there. And it's a feeling that everybody has. So I think that has been the biggest, not surprise, but really differentiator, where you can just feel the devotion. And I love that our new capital campaign for the new hospital is called Devoted, because I think that's a great word. It's a combination of what you talked about. It's the faith-based, yet at the same time the capability of being able to do it. And everybody's devoted to what they do. They know how to do the work, and they just know it's for a higher calling than just a job. So that to me is the differentiator.
It's kind of like a family type atmosphere where you really just, I mean, like even we joke about it here in our team here, we call it our work family, and
Sure.
we love spending time with each other.
Well, when you think about it, our work consumes the majority of our time. We spend a lot of our time, a lot of our thoughts being here with the folks that you're there every day with. So by default, it does become a second family. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, family's great, and family can be amazing. Tight-knit families can be incredible blessings.
Yes.
However,
We can have, yes.
sometimes families that are that tight and that rooted can have very strong opinions,
Sure.
be very set in their ways. And we are going through the biggest build and the biggest project that we
Yes.
ever have in our lives as a family,
Yes.
right? Tell us how you navigate through what I'm sure is an incredible melting pot or perhaps boiling pot
Sure.
of emotions. Sometimes you are coming in brand new, not brand new, 8 months now, and we're in this massive project where there's a lot of emotions. How do you navigate through that with this beautiful family?
Well, just, we all know families have many different people within it, and each one has their own ideas and things about it, and no different. And here, the one positive piece of it is that it is exciting news. It's not every day that you get a chance to build a brand new children's hospital. So that in itself is an exciting endeavor that everybody's part of. Once you get past that piece of it, then it becomes okay, now what is my piece of this thing that you're building? And that's where the some of the challenges come in.
It's where the passion
Comes
comes
in. Yes, we're all, none of us got to where we are without that passion. We are very passionate about the work that we do, and we're very passionate about the work that we do for others, and that whole devotion to what we do. And so that has been a kind of a balancing act. I think for my job is to be able to come up with the best scenario where we can continue to push forward with our goals. Again, improving the access, improving the experience, and improving the quality of the care. And as we start to make those decisions, if a decision is being made that doesn't fit those, then we have to step back. And it allows everybody to be able to level set, to go back and say, okay, why do we need X? If we do X, how does that take away from Y over here that could serve more? So I can have more over here, but then less over here. And it doesn't make sense. It's human nature to always want yours.
Yeah.
It is. That's just and I think one thing I've always told everyone, for pediatric care, you need to check your ego at the door.
Yeah.
This is not about me. It's not about you. It's not about that person. It's about the care that we're going to provide for the next 7 years. So make a decision not based on today, but the right decision for the next 7 years. And that works in some situations, and in some situations people are so passionate about something that we have to work through it. But I can tell you there's not been any situation in this 8 months that we've worked through coming up with the final designs where we haven't been able to compromise on a decision that we felt was the right thing at the end of the day, where it was not a compromise to the negative but a compromise to the positive, while still being very cognizant of the end results for the patient care, but at the same time taking into consideration the people that are going to provide that care every day in that hospital.
So when you leave your passionate Glennon family at the end of a long day,
yes,
tell us about the family you go home to, the Marandi clan.
Yes.
Who are these people in your home, including any pets?
So I had the opportunity to meet my wife in training. So my wife is also a pediatrician. And so that always helps because she also has the clinical lens, but she also has a very, I would say, practical lens that allows me to bounce things off of her to be able to see it different.
Pediatricians get to compare notes.
Yes. And then I think even a little bit more for her where she's able to say, well, have you thought about it this way? Because sometimes that passion, you bring that passion and it sometimes can blind you to the full picture. And she can step outside. And so she's been a big supporter of me, especially in the transition of my work from clinical to administrative, with the opportunities to be able to serve in different communities and be able to be okay with that, because she grew up in that same environment. She, her father was in the Army, so she had a chance to move around a lot. So it's given her the opportunity to be able to be okay with that, knowing that you will find that peace, that place that you were meant to be. And I think that's why we're excited about being here. We have two young boys, Rocco and Enzo. So my wife's family is also an immigrant family from Italy. So as a way to honor their family, both our boys have Italian first name and Persian middle names. So they're both, Rocco's 10, Enzo's getting ready to be 8. He's still 7. They play soccer. We were able to find a great home in Chesterfield where we felt at home there and gotten settled, still living in a lot of boxes though. And it's going to take a while to get through those. But the boys are in school, they're in their soccer teams, and they're excited to be here. Last night I got a chance to take him to a soccer practice. I got to watch Enzo do his thing. So it's fun. It's fun. That's and we do a lot of things together. We play a lot of soccer together. We play a lot of video games together.
Oh, let's talk about video games.
Yes,
What's the top choice?
So the boys are they have a Switch, so they play Switch all the time. So they're either Minecraft or the FC24, which is the soccer.
Oh, sure.
Soccer one. I like football games, so we play football games on the iPad together, and it's fun. It gives me. My wife hates it because it's screen time, but it's the way for us boys to bond.
It's screen time sports, though. It's fine.
That's right. That's right.
Do you any other media passions you have with your boys? I have two boys similar age, and they love playing Minecraft. But movies, shows, anything they're into. So
we started out huge. Into Star Wars.
Oh, you're speaking my language.
Yes. So there's videos
Here
of
they go.
Here we go.
Yes.
Here we go.
There's videos of Enzo when he's 18 months old and he's playing around with a lightsaber and making a noise and everything else. So Andrew still jokes that, you let the 18-month-old watch Star Wars and it's supposed to be PG-14, but whatever, it's 13, whatever. Then we transitioned to Marvel and all the Marvel movies. So we got to watch all of those. Haven't been too much into the NIS phase, but, and then now we're really into Greek mythology. So we just watched Percy Jackson and all of that new series. So it's kind of following what they like. I'm a big sci-fi fan, but some of the stuff that I've watched not necessarily good for them.
Right, yeah. Not ready quite yet.
No. Rocco kind of got spooked when we started talking about aliens, and he watched a couple of alien movies, and he thought they were coming to get him at night. And so my wife forbid us to watch any more alien movies since then. Yeah, so no more alien movies, yes.
So it sounds like everybody's adjusting really well, though, to moving into the new city.
Sure.
Is there, I know, like one of the things people in St. Louis, I'm a St. Louis transplant as well. And I know one of the things that St. Louis is very passionate about is food and St. Louis style food. Is there any particular spots that stand out that your family has gravitated to that everybody's liking or still adjusting to?
So when you would know this very well, when you have two young boys, their food choices revolve around chicken nuggets,
yes,
burgers, and mac and cheese, and that's it.
Those are the three boy food groups, I believe.
Correct. So, it's hard to kind of mess that up anywhere. We love Italian food, so we try to get out to as many Italian places, but the boys won't eat that because most Italian restaurants don't have mac and cheese and all of those things. I can tell you, we tried Imo's Pizza. I like it.
Yeah.
The kids didn't care much for it. We tried toasted ravioli. I liked it. They didn't care much for it. Wait a minute. I think it's because I like food. Anyway, so, but what else did we try? What's the custard place?
Have you tried Ted Drew's?
Yes, we did that. They're all over that. Just anything sweet, any kind of a...
Yeah, Ted Drew's always wins.
That's in my hood, so I'm a fan.
They like that. But nothing, it's...
What's the top Italian? You said you like Italian. What's your favorite?
I think there's some that we haven't tried, so I don't want to give anybody.
There's a lot.
Yes,
you could.
Yes.
It's like hard to try them all. But
we have a whole neighborhood devoted to Italian food.
But what would be the favorite? Don't worry.
So far,
you're not going to single anybody out.
So
far,
we haven't tried anything on the hill yet. That's the problem because we haven't got a chance to go. Yes,
our co-producer Becca's jaw is on the floor. Right. She lives in the hill,
which is why
she's on it. I don't You're going to be getting some takeout delivered to your office.
I don't want to give that nod to anyone yet because I haven't tried them all. So I'm going to hold my. Yes,
we got to do the blind tot tasting test. You've got to assess all of your Italian choices.
Yes. That's next phase 2.
Italian sausage, hot Italian sausage. Oh, that's where we need to go.
What?
We'll get that recommendation.
Like that? Oh yeah, hot Italian sausage and lasagna. Yeah.
Okay. We are on.
The list will flow.
Definitely day old lasagna is even better.
Day old. Yes.
Not when it comes out. You got to let it sit around for a day. Yes.
I gotta agree with you there.
Yep.
Okay. So what you mentioned soccer with the boys, and that you do that in video games with the boys. But what else? What might be a personal just for you? How do you unwind?
I as nerdy as this sounds, I like to read, and not necessarily books, because for some reason when I start reading books, I fall asleep. So I don't read books. Yeah, but I try to stay up to date with just about everything that's going on, especially with healthcare, just because that's part of what I live in. But just in general. So I try to read a lot, and it's so easy to be able to pick up your iPad or tablet and be able to find that. So I try to read almost every day and learn something new every day. Just kind of, as I mentioned to you before, I always like to be the most prepared person in the room. And the only way you can do that is to prepare.
Absolutely.
So I always like to read as much as I can, especially when it's about something that I don't understand. So I keep picking the boys' brains. It's amazing. Even at that age, they can teach you things. So I always keep talking to them. Like my Rocco the other day, we were talking about something, and he started talking about siphonophores. And I was like, excuse me? Siphonophores?
Siphono what?
Exactly. I didn't know either. It's some kind of a fish species that I had no idea about, because he was studying for his spelling test, because somehow, some way, my nerdy little boy won his spelling.
That was a word in the spelling bee?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't even know what letter that starts with.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. So it's good. It's, you can learn. And that's the great thing about this role. I meet people from all walks of life, and I can learn from someone. And there's something that I can take away that will help me be better going forward. So I enjoy doing that.
You kind of chose a profession that requires lifetime learning.
Yes. You have to. And that's why, somebody said, something to me the other day, and I told him, I said, as I mentioned earlier, I've never felt that I have quote unquote arrived. You're never at that point. You're always continuously needing to be better. And then I think that's part of going back to I'm never satisfied with where I am because I know I can be better. I can continue to be better. And that gives me a drive to be able to continue to look to ways to be better.
Well, I mean, you're only 28, so
Yeah,
you know,
just a little bit. Yeah,
a few years
yeah,
left. You're good. We're gonna
it's
have
amazing
you for a
how
while.
yeah, time flies by. It is. It goes by quick, and you know, the your mortality starts to creep up on you when you get a little bit older, and you realize that you want to continue to make a difference in this world. So it gives you that additional drive. So.
I'm certain that I'm older than you, so we are not going to talk anymore about mortality for the next few minutes. What else do you want people to know about you, about the hospital, about anything? You have the floor, so
It's open mic night with Dr. Marandi.
Open mic night.
Okay.
So what else do people not know about you that you want people to know, or anything about the hospital or how you feel about being here? Just, you have the floor. Anything.
Wow. That's
and if there's nothing, then say there's nothing, but you know.
Open-ended question. So I think, we talked about devotion, and as I mentioned, every one of us has devoted our lives to what we do. And I don't like to as much talk about myself, but really for the work that we do. I think when you think about Catholic healthcare, when you think about Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, we have, to some extent, quietly served this community for 7 decades. And that goes back to our foundational view, the Catholic view of we're not rah-rah kind of people. We're not going to pat ourselves in the back. So a lot of people in the community might not know the depth and breadth of the services that are provided here. Now, I can tell you, I've been here, as I mentioned, a little over 8 months, and I've met people from all walks of life. And when they ask me what I do, I just tell them, I work at Cardinal Glennon. They don't know what I do. They know maybe I'm a physician, but and I can tell you, 100 out of the 100 times, it's a positive story about the care that their child received, their neighbor received, somebody received. So the people that have had the opportunity to be able to connect to this organization have felt the devotion to the care, while many others in the community might not know that. And I think one of the things that we want to do is maybe not be so humble and be able to share. And this is a great view. This is a great opportunity, great venue to be able to take something great. Love that it's called the Glennon Factor, because it kind of goes back to what this whole thing is about. But to be able to put that in front of people, to be able to go to social media and be able to share some of the stories of the great work that's being done here, because I think it's shame on us if we don't share that when there's a family that needs this care and they could have gotten it here. And we could have provided that for them, and we didn't do that. So even to that level of, I want people to know the gift that we have in our own backyard with this organization, with the physicians that are here, with the nurses that are here, with the services that are here. And sometimes I don't think we do enough of that because we're just not going to brag. But sometimes we have to. So I think that's the biggest thing that I want people to walk away from. This is a wonderful organization with a wonderful devotion to care, always putting patients first and always looking for ways to be able to serve. That's not something you get every day. Healthcare is becoming more and more difficult. And, when we talk about a lot of people are burned out, they don't want to do this anymore. A lot of it's because you lose the passion for what got you into it. And that's something that in this organization, we haven't lost it. So that's what I enjoy the most, is that we come to work knowing that everybody is devoted to what they want to do. So I think that's the biggest thing about St. Louis that I think sometimes maybe people don't realize. What's the old saying that you don't know what you have until it's not there? Well, we're going to be here, but let's talk about who we are and what we can do.
I absolutely adore that.
No, that's amazing. I mean, it's even better than...
I'm clutching my pearls going, no, I am. Like, that's so true. We've been quiet. We've done a very quiet but remarkable job of delivering care for so long.
Yeah.
And healthcare is getting more and more complex. It's time to get a little volume.
Right.
And, well, we like being voluminous and being
we're all
loud
about
here
being
on
loud and proud
the
at the
podcast.
foundation.
Speaking of which, we have a little tradition that we do at the foundation, which is kind of a fun way to get to know the not so professional side of newer staff.
Okay.
It's affectionately known as the hot seat.
Okay.
And so as the last part of our podcast, we would like you to take a seat on the hot seat.
Sounds
Are you
good.
ready?
Yes.
We're going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
This
We're
is
gonna
going to
do-
be fun.
I'll do my best.
We're going to do back and forth rapid fire.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. First car.
Chevy Nova,
What year?
79.
79 Chevy Nova.
First job.
I worked in work study in college, anything that they needed me to do. I planted trees. I cleaned up garbage. I put books back on the library shelf. And here, will date you, I had to relearn the Dewey Decimal System to be able to figure out where the books are supposed to
Dewey
go.
Decimal
Who even
System.
knows that anymore?
628.331.
I said something about microfiche the other day, and they were like, "What are you talking about? What kind of a small fish are you talking about?" No, microfiche, those little things. I like, forget it. I'm old now. Let's not talk about it. So,
Favorite sport?
soccer, very closely followed by football and baseball. God, I love sports. Love
Favorite
sports.
holiday.
Thanksgiving, hands down. How can you not love Thanksgiving, where you combine football all day with food all day? And I cooked the whole thing, and I just
Is there tots at Thanksgiving?
so every Thanksgiving I cook the whole bird, all the sides, all the
Really?
things. Everything's got to be ready at 12 o'clock for the first kickoff, so we can eat. I can watch the first game, pass out at halftime, wake up before the Cowboys play the next game, watch that game, eat again, and just continue. So Thanksgiving is the best by far.
What's your number one side at Thanksgiving?
So historically, everybody loves the sweet potato casserole that I make. So that's my, with lots of brown sugar on top and big fat marshmallows.
I'm coming over,
that
set
sounds
an extra
delicious.
seat.
All right. Morning person or night owl?
Oh, morning person all day. I'd rather get up at 4 a.m. and get this day started. It's just, you talked about what do you do to kind of give yourself opportunity to ground myself. Early in the mornings when the kids are asleep, my wife is asleep, I can get up, I can make my coffee, I can sit there, I can read. There's no noise, there's nothing. That's the best part to get me started for the day. Come nighttime, I just want to go to bed. Yeah.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes. Nice blueberry pancakes with blueberry,
They go good with
They would go. If you could have dinner with any celebrity, who would it be and why?
Wow. That's a deep question. With any celebrity, I'm not as awestruck with celebrities as much as many people are. Yes, I love some of the football players and some of the things. Love Al Pacino, I love all his movies, Robert De Niro and everything else. But, if I was to say who I would want to sit down and talk to, this might be a little bit weird, but it would be Jesus.
That's not weird at all.
Not weird.
No.
He is a superstar.
It would be very interesting. I was thinking about that. We keep talking about sci-fi and thought about if time travel was ever created.
Absolutely.
How could you not go back to that moment in time and just to kind of get the feeling of that moment with the star and the birth and everything at that time? So that would be very interesting and exciting.
We know where you're going the first time a time machine is invented.
Yep.
Okay, more superficial. When you get takeout,
Yes.
where's it from?
I love Thai food.
Ooh.
So I try a lot of Thai food, and it's interesting. The one thing, everybody does pad Thai differently.
Yeah.
I think I've had different kind of pad Thai everywhere.
King and I, have you had that?
I have not.
Oh,
Put it on the list.
Okay.
Should try.
yeah.
So
King and I pad Thai.
Is there pad Thai? Does it have sauce on it, or
Is
it
it
just
pad or pod?
I don't know.
Pad.
I'm from, I remember I grew up in East Tennessee, so sometimes some things will come out
a little different.
my mouth. Like this morning, we were sitting there, and Dr. White, he said, "So guys, have a good day." And he was like, "Well, I mean that in a way with non-gender and everything else." So then somebody said, "No, maybe you just say y'all." I was like, "No. There's more than 5 of us. It's yuns. Come on, get it right. It's yuns. Once you get past 5, it's so yeah." So our executive team signed off to yuns.
Yuns.
Love
Yeah,
that.
that's great.
Love it.
If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
I've thought about this a lot. I would say the superpower I would love to have is to be able to speak every language in the world without a miss. So I could talk to anyone. That has been my, and I think it's going to come real. I think they're going to, we're going to nerd out a little bit here on all the Star Trek and they always have universal translators.
Yes.
So
Well, if you think about it, it's one of the few barriers still for all of humanity is communication barrier. And the way technology is moving for instantaneous translation or very quick translation, it's lifting.
There's going to be, and I suspect within my lifetime, there will be a way where we can communicate to each other without having to worry about the language that you know.
Y'all are too smart for me. So my next question, what's the song that always gets you on the dance floor?
I'm embarrassed to say this.
You're in good company.
Don't worry, we won't cue it up. We won't.
Remember that song that came out a good while ago, Jump Around?
Oh, yes. House of Pain, Jump Around.
House of Pain, Jump
Okay.
Around with Everlasting. That would be, when that comes on, that first...
Maybe that's your at bat. We were talking about that earlier. That could be a good at bat for you.
So that one, yes. You guys just got to get those horns, and then here we go.
Absolutely.
Yes, jump around.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, I would buy Apple stock all day. I would go back and,
all day long.
All day long. I remember. This is you talk about funny times. I remember we were in med school, and my roommate and I. He calls me in one day and says, "You got to come see this thing. This is just like the coolest thing." This is going to date me again. He's like, "There's this thing you can get on. It's like America Online. You can just get on and get all these things." So we started to look into it, and America Online was just starting out, and it was, you had that crazy noise when you connected.
Oh, it's such a good note. It's the modem sounds.
Yes, the modem. Well, back then, the stock for America Online was $1 a piece. So we went to buy stocks. The two of us put that money together. We went to buy stocks, and we went to, I think it was Schwab or something, and they laughed us out. They were like, "You can't buy $500 worth of stocks." So we didn't get to buy any. And needless to say, America Online blew up, and our $500 would have been worth millions after that. And so, yes, I would go back and I would make sure I buy Apple stocks in 1984. I would buy Amazon stock before it went crazy.
Yeah, well, because then your AOL stock would be merged with Time and Warner right now too, so it probably would be doing pretty good.
Yes.
Biggest professional achievement so far, and what did you learn from it?
I would say the biggest achievement is to have a immigrant child that never spoke English to be sitting here leading a children's hospital. I don't think there's any bigger. I mean, my life really is a story that I would love to be proud of when it ends. To me, I can't imagine. And I told my wife this the other day. I said, sometimes you have to step back and say, I've had the opportunity to live the calling that I had in my life. And I keep doing that every day. What else can you ask for? So I would say that would be the biggest achievement, to be able to do this.
That's a huge one.
Yeah. You think about just to be able to do what I do. I would have never imagined it. So, all praise to someone much bigger than me that has directed this path put me here, because as I think through, we have always had ups and downs in our lives, and you think back about some of those downs and you sit there and go, God, but then you start to think back and say, that is exactly what I needed to be able to either learn the lesson, close a door that I needed to close so I can open another one. And that, it's still hard to to just say, yes, that's the way it is. But I'm starting to be a little bit of a bigger believer of that. So,
yeah.
That's awesome. Little known fact that no one knows about you.
Little known fact. So I got to tell you a story. I had, when I was in med school, so I was in high school, I played football, and I was a kicker on the football team, and went to college, and I got to college and I was going to play football. So when you get into college and they said, well, okay, I'm going to go be a med student too. I'm pre-med. So I have to have all these labs in the afternoon, classes for biology, chemistry. They were like, no, you can't do that. No, you got to play football. So football practice is on, so you can't take any biology or chemistry class. So I'm a pre-med student, didn't take classes. Take it next semester. Fall football. Spring, you can do it. Okay, so come spring, I get ready to sign off for the class again. Like, no, you don't understand. Spring practice starts, so you can't do it. I was like, what am I doing here? Am I here to play football? Am I here to go to med school? So I decided to go to med school, so I didn't play football. So again, I still kicked just for fun. Played soccer throughout. Got into med school. It's second year, and I'm in Memphis, and Memphis just got a brand new indoor team. So first they asked for somebody for this big contest to name them. So I thought Memphis, Egypt, Pharaohs. So I submitted that. Lo and behold, that's what won. And that was the name of the thing. So that was the first. Okay. Well, then they were trying to fill a team, and they had an open tryout for players. And one of my roommates said, Hossain, why don't you go try out? I was like, okay. So this was right during our spring break. They had their tryout. So I kept practicing, kicking and everything. So I went and kicked in the tryout and actually did pretty well. So they were like, okay, so Monday come back so you can for the practice. I was like, I got to go to school. So needless to say, school has diverted me from the fun part of ever being a football player. So that was
So if you weren't a doctor, you'd be a football player.
That would be, yes, I would be that proverbial kicker. Yes. You can't do anything else but kick the ball. Yes, that would have been me. So,
well, Dr. Marandi, you have officially left the hot seat, and you survived it with flying colors.
Thank you.
Well, to close us out, I'm not a big Bible verse person, but there is a passage from 1 Peter 4, verse 10. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. I think everyone at Glennon brings a unique gift to our mission. We all come from diverse backgrounds and beliefs and walks of life, but as a family, we talked about family, as a family, I think we all believe in the power of compassion and the universal need for healing. And our work here now and our preparation for Glennon's future is all about manifesting that. And I think we just want to say, I'll get emotional. I think we just want to say thank you for being our leader, for being a testament to the ripple effect of kindness and generosity. And we're excited to be part of this impact with you that will extend far beyond what any of us are really going to be able to see. So if we can close with a little blessing.
Wonderful.
May you, Dr. Marandi, be guided by the spirit of compassion and service that brought you here, knowing that in your efforts, you reveal the healing presence of God. We should all be proud of our dedication, our tireless efforts, and commitment to the humans of Cardinal Glennon. And I pray that together we make a difference. One act of kindness, one contribution, one moment of care at a time.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
for being
Marandi.
with
Thank
us.
you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Glennon Factor. Make sure you follow The Glennon Factor and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Visit glennon.org if you would like to learn more about how you can support Cardinal Glennon kids. And while you're there, feel free to share any feedback or episode suggestions on our podcast page. The Glennon Factor is recorded and produced by SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Foundation.
And that is a wrap on the Glennon Factor Season 1.
Yay! We did it. They let us get this far.
We did it. The whole season.
Listener, we'll see you in Season 2.
Wait, there's a Season 2?